And Mayor, it's been so interesting as we've been awaiting this infrastructure bill. We have yet to see it. In your perfect world, what would you like to see in a big infrastructure bill?
Well, there's so much in there that would be helpful to cities across the country, particularly Chattanooga. We're prepared to go it alone. We have a lot of infrastructure in the budget that we've just passed, but the scale and ambition of that bill will be great for economic recovery. And we've got a lot of aging infrastructure in and around Chattanooga, and so we need it to pass.
Talk to me about this go-it-alone approach, because a lot of state and cities are doing that because they're waiting a package that hasn't come for, we've been talking about a package for decades, let's be honest. What do you not get in that go-it-alone approach?
Well, it's sort of good, better, best. What we built into our budget, we're fortunate in our local economy weathered the COVID storm pretty well. So we were able to actually get a $30 million increase passed with a 9-0 vote in our council, which we were proud of. Most of that's going towards raises for our police and fire and public works, but a significant chunk is going towards roads mainly. Roads and potholes, but we've got a lot of bridges and a lot of larger structures that desperately need replacement. It's got to be done. As you said, we've been batting this around now for 20 years, and we've got to address those larger projects at some point.
It's interesting. A lot of state and local cities have actually come out of this pandemic either been sometimes better than before or better than at least the initial projections have showed. What have you been able to do in terms of either raising revenue or cutting back spending to make sure that you did weather the pandemic in a fiscally responsible way?
Well, I've only been in office 5 months, but my predecessor, who Andy Burke, did a really good job of putting together a tight conservative budget. So we actually came through COVID with a pretty decent surplus, which we were able to row back into some of this, made some of this infrastructure spending locally possible. So we're in good shape. My whole goal is to kind of fall up out of this and finish, come out of it better than we went into it.
It's interesting you said, of course, you just take over, were elected 5 months ago in April or so. Before that, you had life in the car dealership space, and it is not lost on us that all month, pretty much, we've been talking about some of the supply chain issues, the auto issue, the chip shortage issue. What are you seeing on the ground in Chattanooga with some of the supply chain, the bottlenecks, the chips?
It's tough, and it's tough for my friends that are still in the dealership business. It's tough. They're just having to right size, and of course, it's shifted demand to used cars, which spiked those prices, and you're seeing that come back down a bit. But we also have a large VW assembly plant in Chattanooga, and it's also created a big bottleneck there because they've had to slow down production. We're happy VW is making large investments in electric infrastructure there, and they're starting to switch over there to build the ID4 there soon. But it's affecting everybody up and down the line.
With that also comes inflationary pressures. What are local businesses, even local taxpayers, telling you about what feels like a tax on the middle class when sometimes you get higher inflation than expected?
It's tough. Yeah, we've seen that. The unemployment rate is at historic lows, as you know, and getting people to work has been tougher. We just instituted a $15 minimum wage at the city for city employees. Okay. That wasn't so much out of fairness as it was meeting the market. You can't hire anybody for $8 or $9 an hour anymore in Chattanooga.
Finally here, we are right now in New York City, and there has been a lot of talk about residents fleeing high-tax states, particularly if we can work from anywhere, coming in, buying up a house with an out-of-state salary and being able to do it in a more affordable place. How is the property market in Tennessee?
It's been up. It's been up considerably. That phenomenon has definitely happened. And again, we've got really cheap, fast, municipally owned internet. We saw a little bit of a silver lining from COVID in that we did have a lot of folks move in from larger markets for our great quality of life. But the fleas come with a dog, as they say. And so we have seen that inflation in property values. And so affordable housing now is a real issue that we're struggling with in Chattanooga. And now that we're past our budget and moving forward, we're going to be putting some strategies in place to combat that.
Are the residents temporary or are they staying?
No, they appear to be staying. We got a really interesting report from LinkedIn that showed the net influx of a lot of folks from New York and LA and Chicago and San Francisco, and I've bumped into a few at soccer games and elsewhere, and they really love it. Chattanooga's well known for its quality of life, and they appear to be sticking around.